with that, we've actually cleared out the Asylum, so good on us. Never have to come back here again. Never have to fight that fucking awful demon again. Except we kind of do. Oh well. We'll deal with that when we get to it. Go back to my beloved Eagle Shield now. And we might as well rest at this bonfire since we don't really have easy access to another kindled one. Especially not where we're going. So this hole just sticks here. Yeah, this is actually a player message. It's like, be wary of fall. Fun fact, the AI, I don't believe is aware that that hole exists, because one of these guys just fell into that hole. So they'll just run right over it and fall into it. I think they might even be able to trigger it to fall down. I'm not 100% sure. Fuck's sake. If these guys kill me after I killed that fucking stray demon, I swear. Don't you fucking poke me. Get out of here. There is one last attraction, of course, that I would be loath to forget. That, I thought would appear here, or at least tell us something. But, you'll notice there's another smaller crow's nest. I wonder if we have anything that we could leave here, you know, for some reason. For no particular reason. I don't know, fucking copper coin or something. That just shows up in the nest. What would happen if we were to just, you know, leave the game and come back?
You, give me warm, give me soft.
Boy, did I fuck that up. There is no item here. Damn, my copper coin is gone. Damn it, I fricked it. Of course, the NPC didn't show up before, and then did now. That kind of sucks. Well, note that I just did that entirely wrong. Give me a moment, and I'll see if I could do it more correctly. Okay, yes. Let's I don't know, try some rubbish. Whoop. Mouse out of there. Has no value, you know? I don't want it. Maybe that'll be warm and soft and snuggly. I also just want to say I'm an idiot and recognize that there is one more thing that we absolutely need to get in the undead asylum, so I will be going back for that, don't worry. Completely blanked on that being there.
You, give me warm, give me soft.
So now, after we place that rubbish down, incidentally, it turns out the copper coin is not warm and soft. Go figure. They'll give us a Titanite chunk. Thanks, bird. There are actually a bunch of items that you can throw in and trade with Snuggly the Crow for special items that are actually several things you can't get anywhere else in the game. One of those things happens to be the Old Witch's Ring. So, whoa! Right, I didn't kill this one, and because they were down in the hole. When it reloaded, it put them back on this floor. I was like, I killed fucking everyone. So, if you didn't take the Old Witch's Ring as a gift, you can give it some item. I don't quite remember. And then also, assuming Snuggly the Crow is there, they'll tell you items that they don't like, or items that you've already given them, because you can only trade things once. So, over this way, it seems there's a new friend. a big friend that we haven't actually seen one of for a while. This is actually quite a tough fight because you really can't lure them anywhere in the open except for the water field. And I did not happen to take on the... or I did not happen to put on the Rusted Iron Ring, so I really just have to fight this Black Knight here in a hallway. Luckily, I'm big and shufty, so... Oh dear. I can tank a lot more damage than I could back when we first faced one of these Black Knights. I'm honestly not entirely sure... Oh shit. Whew. I'm not entirely sure if this is a stronger Black Knight than the one in Undeadburg. But considering how fast we chumped him, I'm kind of guessing no. Also drops a red Titanite chunk. So you'll start noticing all sorts of colored flavors of Titanite as we go along, and those are just required for different weapon ascensions. I don't even know if they actually have different things. Oh, there we go. That's actually pretty neat flavor text on the Titanite chunk that I'd never known. With the discovery of chunks in Lordran, the race to locate the legendary slabs has begun. But could they be mere myth? Yeah, I wonder. Yep, and this is actually the same statement. Ooh, interesting. After this Titanite was peeled from its slab, it is said that it received a special power, but its specific nature is not clear. Yep. So, all of these crafting weapons, basically everything that's over here, have kind of special descriptions. They give you little hints and pieces, but this is the one last thing that I almost forgot, and I would have just kicked myself if I had forgotten. A peculiar doll. I don't remember if that's in key items or over here. Let's find out. There it is. Strange doll with a strange dress. There was once an abomination who had no place in this world. She clutched this doll tightly, but eventually was drawn into a cold and lonely painted world. This is such a beautiful and creepy as fuck item description. This is your cell from the very beginning of the game. This corpse wasn't here beforehand. And in it, there's just a doll that speaks of an abomination in a painted world. And it just sets your mind racing. Like, what could this be? I guess someday we may find out if we ever find a way into that painted world. But with that, we finally do have everything at the Asylum. I may come back here to trade some things with Snuggly later, but that's for later. We have other things to do tonight. Cutscene is actually instant this time. The first time you do it, you have to wait. I believe it's like 10 seconds to actually get the bird to appear. So you could just sit there feeling like an idiot and stop just beforehand. Whoops. Not entirely sure what just happened there. Anyway. So, now that we've done that, we've handled, I guess, most of the stuff over there. Let's grab this item, since we're here. Yeah, I guess I could have gotten this from the very start. I wonder why I didn't. Soul of a Lost Undead. And, oh dear. It seems Laurentius has left. Man, I fucked that up. I did not at all realize getting the Chaos Servant things. Because there's another NPC that you're supposed to be able to talk to that will put his, like, that will cause that conversation that he just had with you to happen. But I did not realize that getting the Covenant Pyromancy, which I realize we never read now, Great Chaos Fireball, actually also made him do it. Which is unfortunate, because I had a whole thing I wanted to do with Laurentius' whole story. Ugh. Art of the Flame of Chaos, which engulfed the Witch of Izalith and her daughters. Hurl a giant chaos fireball. The Flame of Chaos can melt stone and produce a short-lived lava glob. It's quite strong. I'd attune it, but, you know, we don't really have access to that bonfire. And you'll also notice, boy, we are just losing some folk, that the crestfallen warrior is gone. I wonder where he ended up. I do hope he didn't try to do something about it. But I think it's time that we head back to the skeletons. And to do that, we'll need a weapon worthy of handling skeletons. A skeleton basher, as it were. Let's go bash some skeletons. So, the graveyard can actually be accessed from pretty much the start of the game. And it actually has a lot of really good items in it. There we go. So it turns out the reason the Morning Star is good against these guys is that it just makes them crumble and stagger every single time, so you can just pretty much stun lock them. So, a common strategy that people will take is to basically run through the graveyard, picking up these really good items, and just getting chased by a billion skeletons. And even if you die, you have some ridiculous shit. But now that we actually have item upgrades and a divine weapon, we do a little bit extra. It's also be able to get some good vantages from around here. I really like the way that this graveyard is laid out, by the way. Like, it is very clearly a very, like, happenstance kind of graveyard. A sort of, like, this graveyard obviously was not expecting the number of skeletons, like the number of people that would end up in it. You know, the way that these graves are all so tightly packed, so extremely disorganized, it just gives it this super creepy feeling of, like, what even happened here, you know? I really like it. It's another really, like, subtly well laid out area that tells a lot of story. You know, you're wandering through here, you're killing these skeletons. And they'll do some damage, so do be careful. Don't sleep on the skeletons. Oop. Yeah, they didn't have any health left. Nah. 2 paths down here. Let's go towards all of these piles of bones, including oh dear. That is large. That is large. Ooh. Yeah, you gotta watch out, because that's a pretty big skeleton right there. That is definitely not a human skeleton. Ow! This is definitely one of the more difficult fights, and one of the reasons that, like, because these skeletons will chase you to the ends of the earth, if you start this fight, you are probably gonna finish it. One way or another. And also be careful, because this dude can push you off ledges, too. Just to make matters even better, you know? Like, look at that knockback. There we go. Alright. He is admittedly not nearly as scary without his little buddies to come in and do chip damage. And just explodes into a giant pile of physics bones, as all of them do. Let's see what they were all guarding on this rather large tombstone. A Zweihander. It's German for two-hander. And it's a pretty fucking big sword. And it's also one of the best giant two-handed swords in the game. We also get binoculars. Special item that basically allows you to look at things closer if you want to just, you know, look around at that city that seems to be down there. That's a bit interesting that there's just, you know, a city. It turns out that is actually New Londo. I was really saying that I need to do more, like, exploring of how areas are connected to each other. Well, that's one place where, from up here in Firelink Shrine, if you look off the edge, you actually can see New Londo just down there. And you can also see a lot of water just floating down. It's sort of implied, but this is how New Londo ruins, which you take an elevator to go down to. This is where it is. And it looks a lot like Undead Burg, and sort of gives you, like, at least from a distance, a feel of how all of these areas, because Undead Burg is up that way, and New Londo is down there. It gives you this feeling that they were once, you know, just continuous towns. And once we actually start really exploring New Londo ruins, we'll really get a feel for how, like, the two areas are extremely different to each other, is what I'm trying to say here. And I really like that, because you could sort of see how they're each twisted versions of one another that were just affected differently by the curse. Binoculars. Binoculars made of brass, used to peer at distant scenery. This advanced device was built by a famous craftsman of Astora. Its utility is singular, but its applications many. The value of these specs depends greatly on the imagination of their owner. Oh, that's cute. So there's a lot of sort of off-brand uses for binoculars. You can actually use them to aim spells. Like, you look at something, and then if you, like, go out of the binoculars and cast a spell, it will shoot it off in that direction. You could do the same with bows and arrows and crossbows, and you could use that to kind of fuck around with enemies. And then, of course, you could just use it to view the beautiful land that's all around you. There's also the Zweihander. One of the gigantic straight greatswords. As the name suggests, the Zweihander is held with two hands, but its wielder must be inhumanly strong. It is his great weight that sends foes flying when hit solidly. It's quite a good weapon, and I really like that they actually placed it on the foot of this giant grave here, even if on a corpse like this, because it's sort of like, it makes it feel like it's you know, maybe a human being isn't necessarily supposed to be the one wielding this thing. And then there's actually one other thing by another giant grave. A winged spear, guarded by one more giant skeleton. I'm entirely unsure what their iframes were there. Honestly, we don't really want to be fighting this guy in, like, a narrow hallway like this. Let's back off a little bit. Let him come after us in a bit more of an open space. Come here. I won't hurt you, but only because you're a skeleton and skeletons can't feel pain. Nah. Just a little bit of health left. There we go. Alright. I believe that's all the items in the graveyard. Unless there's any that I missed over here. Like, look at the density of gravestones here. You can tell that this, like, was not planned to be as crowded as it ended up being. I quite like that design. Let's see, winged spear will be right around here. A long-hilted spear with a barbed point. Long reach and can be used with shield up. Effective against hard exteriors and hits for high damage at the right moment of an enemy's swing. But the hit radius is small, and it is easily blocked by shields. So, it's really more of just, you know, a utilitarian item description. I actually realized that I picked up a shield, and I have no idea if it has, like, anything interesting. Caduceus round shield. Wooden round shield crafted in Lordran. decorated by an ancient blue caduceus. The giant trees of Lordran are distant offspring of the great stone arch trees. This shield inherits their properties, and the wood greatly reduces magic damage. So this is another shield that has pretty good magic resistance. It's not quite as good as the crest shield that we picked up, but if you don't have that and you need to fight some magic enemies for whatever reason, I'd strongly recommend you pick that thing up. It's quite useful. I'm going to switch back over to my bastard sword briefly. As we explore a little bit deeper,